Girish Kosh. Girish Chandra Ghosh was a born rebel against God. A skeptic, a bohemian, a drunkard. He was the greatest Bengali dramatist of his time, the father of the modern Bengali stage. Like other young men, he had imbibed all the vices of the West. He had plunged into a life of dissipation and had become convinced that religion was only a fraud. Materialistic philosophy he justified as enabling one to get at least a little fun out of life. But a series of reverses shocked him, and he became eager to solve the riddle of life. He had heard people say that in spiritual life the help of a guru was imperative, and that the guru was to be regarded as God himself. But Girish was too well acquainted with human nature to see perfection in a man. His first meeting with Sri Ramakrishna did not impress him at all. He returned home feeling as if he had seen a freak at a circus. For the master, in a semi-conscious mood, had inquired whether it was evening, though the lamps were burning in the room. But their paths often crossed, and Girish could not avoid further encounters. The master attended a performance in Girish's Star Theatre. On this occasion too, Girish found nothing impressive about him. One day, however, Girish happened to see the master dancing and singing with the devotees. He felt the contagion and wanted to join them, but restrained himself for the fear of ridicule. Another day, Sri Ramakrishna was about to give him spiritual instruction when Girish said, "I don't want to listen to instructions. I have myself written many instructions. They are of no use to me. Please help me in a more tangible way if you can." This pleased the master, and he asked Girish to cultivate faith. As time passed, Girish began to learn that the Guru is the one who silently unfolds the disciple's inner life. He became a steadfast devotee of the Master. He often loaded the Master with insults, drank in his presence, and took liberties which astounded the other devotees. But the Master knew that at heart Girish was tender, faithful, and sincere. He would not allow Girish to give up the theatre, and when a devotee asked him to tell Girish to give up drinking, he sternly replied, "That is none of your business. He who has taken charge of him will look after him." Girish is a devotee of heroic type. I tell you, drinking will not affect him. The master knew that mere words could not induce a man to break deep-rooted habits, but that the silent influence of love worked miracles. Therefore, he never asked him to give up alcohol, with the result that Girish himself eventually broke the habit. Sri Ramakrishna had strengthened Girish's resolution by allowing him to feel that he was absolutely free. One day, Girish felt depressed because he was unable to submit to any routine of spiritual discipline. In an exalted mood, the master said to him, "All right, give me your power of attorney. Henceforth, I assume responsibility for you. You need not do anything." Girish heaved a sigh of relief. He felt happy to think that Sri Ramakrishna had assumed his spiritual responsibilities. But poor Girish could not then realize that he also, on his part, had to give up his freedom and make of himself a puppet in Sri Ramakrishna's hands. The master began to discipline him according to this new attitude. One day, Girish said about a trifling matter, "Yes, I shall do this." "No, no," the master corrected him. "You must not speak in that egotistic manner. You should say, 'God willing, I shall do it.'" Girish understood. Thenceforth, he tried to give up all idea of personal responsibility and surrendered himself to the divine will. His mind began to dwell constantly on Sri Ramakrishna. This unconscious meditation, in time, chastened his turbulent spirit. The householder devotees generally visited Sri Ramakrishna on Sunday afternoons and other holidays. Thus, a brotherhood was gradually formed, and the master encouraged this fraternal feeling. Now and then he would accept an invitation to a devotee's home, where other devotees would also be invited. Kirtan would be arranged, and they would spend hours in dance and devotional music. The master would go into trances or open his heart in religious discourses and in the narration of his own spiritual experiences. Many people who could not go to Dakshineshwar participated in these meetings and felt blessed. Such an occasion would be concluded with a sumptuous feast. But it was in the company of his younger devotees, pure souls, yet unstained by the touch of worldliness, that Sri Ramakrishna took greatest joy. Among the young men who later embraced the householder's life were Narayan, Paltu, the younger Naren, Tej Chandra, and Purna. These visited the master sometimes against strong opposition from home.